Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. With the return of Verdansk and the launch of Season 3 here in Warzone, we ended up seeing an update that we did not expect whatsoever. Not necessarily in the form of, oh, this crazy gameplay change or, oh, this huge new piece of content, but rather a mode known as Battle Royale Casual, which is you versus a handful of real teams, but then the vast majority of the lobby being AI, being bots. And this mode seemingly has taken off since the return of Verdansk and since the launch of Season 3. And I wanted to break down a little bit more how this unexpected change, this unexpected update with Battle Royale Casual might have just helped a ton going forward in terms of both retaining players in Call of Duty over the long term, but also adding in, an accessibility option that makes matchmaking in Call of Duty, specifically Warzone, obviously, way lighter going forward, way easier going forward, however you want to phrase it. Obviously, a massive talking point in Call of Duty year over year, season after season, quite frankly, week after week, is skill-based matchmaking. There are pros to it, there are cons to it. Obviously, the vast majority of players look at it saying, yeah, I'm always in sweaty lobbies and my connection doesn't feel great and the prioritization of everything there just doesn't feel very straightforward. Clearly seems kind of predatory and kind of, rough around the edges for casual players, for more average style players. Sweaty players oftentimes don't like it because they constantly have to play against other sweaty players because of their skill bracket in a public match mode where obviously they don't always want to have to sweat. They want to prioritize their connection. They want to have better ping to the server, but because they're a better player at the game, they ultimately feel like they're getting punished because of their skill, because they're limited in the amount of lobbies they can get into, the data centers they can connect to for overall connection. Then on the inverse, you sometimes have more average players that end up in lobbies because they've been trending upwards, they've been doing well. They end up in lobbies that are maybe a bit above their skill level and they get stomped, and they don't love that. Like, there clearly is flaws with skill-based matchmaking. We've talked about it a ton, especially this year. The code writer and the developer basically for skill-based matchmaking even came out on some insider gaming interviews talking about the flaws behind it. We've covered that in great detail before. If you want to go ahead and check out those videos, feel free to do so. But the greater point being, matchmaking in Call of Duty, to put it bluntly, has been pretty annoying for years on end. And while it might not be the #1 contributing factor in why players have left Warzone specifically as the main focus of this discussion in this video over the course of the past few years, you could also look to a lot of the content with Caldera, with some of the maps not being great, the gameplay changes of Warzone 2 and everything going on, the insane hacking issues season after season, update after update that have really yet to dissipate in any significant way. All of those can be attributed to why players leave as well, but also matchmaking. It absolutely is a factor, maybe not the biggest one, but certainly a factor that carries weight. And Battle Royale Casual and the potential future updates that we're going to see here, not even potential, the confirmed updates that we're going to see here later on in Season 3, actually coming up here very soon, might just help out Call of Duty matchmaking in a way that we initially did not expect whatsoever. Whether or not the devs planned this in this certain way to maybe ease off on some of the huge skill-based matchmaking complaints, we're probably never really going to know. But the outlook here, I think, is very interesting. Obviously, the name itself, Battle Royale Casual, it is set up perfectly for casuals, being able to go in, and it's a very low risk sort of scenario, a very low risk match. Yes, you are still going to run into some real players there, so certain gunfights will be more challenging than others. You're also, though, going to run into primarily, presumably, a lot of AI and a lot of bots that are going to be much easier to take on and take out, right? So there is that sense of accomplishment in game for players who usually, if you're just being thrown into a standard match of Call of Duty, might not have that great chance of winning the match. Ultimately, in a Battle Royale match of 150 players, if you're an average player, good chance that there's someone in the lobby that's better than you, and if you run into them, you might not win that gunfight, you might lose the game. That might be taking away some of the fun of the game for you if you're consistently running into that situation. So Battle Royale Casual offers that way lower entry barrier into gameplay that, yes, if you're a decent player, then maybe casual doesn't feel very rewarding for you, and that's where pubs come in, and I'll expand on that more in just a moment. But if you're just a player straight up who's not super familiar with Warzone, you're maybe not very good at the game, it just is what it is, casual is a place where you can thrive a lot more. There's way less stress in this mode. It's also fantastic for testing out meta builds without being, thrown in against the absolute best sweaty players there are because of skill-based matchmaking, trying to use something off meta or trying to use a new build and then getting punished for that because you run into a player that's just clinging to the #1 rifle and the #1 SMG, right? It's a fantastic area and play space to work on camos. Some of those camo challenges can be pretty annoying. You jump into casual where it still tracks and it still counts, suddenly life's a whole lot easier there, a lot less stressful, right? So there are just inherent pros to this mode beyond it just being a lot more welcoming for average to, below average players who are just trying to get a feel for things, maybe warm up here and there before jumping in. Now, currently, as it stands when I'm recording this, casual is fine. It's great. I know it's had a lot of success, as mentioned, as we just detailed. However, standard Battle Royale, when you're just loading into normal Battle Royale, solos, duos, trios, quads, it is still sweaty. You obviously have a ton of people back for the hype of Verdansk and everyone enjoying this update for the most part, and it's got a lot of sweaty players back. The slide cancels, the jump shots, the squad stacking, the 42 different mines in every single building that I walk into. Okay, maybe that one is a bit more personal, but you get the point. I know you've probably experienced it. I've experienced it plenty as I've been playing. You get some sweaty lobbies that feels like you're competing for $100,000 at the World Series of Warzone. But no, this is just a public match, and that's skill-based matchmaking working to its fullest extent. So clearly there's that split in player base right now. Casual, believe it or not, wow, it's a lot more casual, right? Standard pubs can still be very sweaty. But coming up here soon with Season 3 Reloaded, we're going to see the reintroduction of Battle Royale ranked play, this time on Verdansk, the very first time that ranked play has ever taken place on Verdansk. That obviously is going to attract a lot of sweaty players, so they can go through, they can prove their skill there, they can actually get a rank behind the sweaty lobbies that they're playing in. That's one of the more annoying things about how sweaty lobbies can be in pubs is, yeah, there's competition. I'm always going to be that competitive player in the game. I want to know that I'm the best player in the lobby, and I'm always going to push for that. Just how I've always been. Maybe growing up in sports is what's sort of driven me towards that. But anyways, I digress. In pubs, yeah, you're the best in the lobby. Whoop-de-doo, you fried everyone. You got a 20 bomb, a 30 bomb. But you don't really have anything to show for that. Okay, cool, you did good. No one's ever going to see that beyond that game though, right? Whereas in ranked, you have that ranked division. Okay, I'm a platinum tier player. I'm, a bronze, silver, gold, whatever you start out at, wherever you rise up to in the ranks. They're like, okay, clearly I have a measuring stick now. I know exactly where I'm at. I can work to improve and climb higher and higher. Get to iridescent, get to top 250, whatever the case is, right? Much more rewarding, gameplay, much more rewarding engagements there when you know you're actually going for something other than just a public match victory, right? So that is obviously going to attract the sweatiest of sweaty players. And when that comes to fruition, when we have all this fully available, we'll have a mixture of Battle Royale Casual, Battle Royale Standard, Battle Royale Ranked. And I just have a feeling, now this is just simply me theorizing, and generally I think this is somewhat more of a broad and obvious assumption, but it's still going to factor into things. Once you have ranked mixed in there with Battle Royale Casual, Standard, and Ranked, that 3-tiered sort of system, I think is going to end up working out a lot nicer for skill-based matchmaking, for it being less punishing, if you will. If you're an average, below average player just looking to play more chill, Casual is there. The standard thing will be there if you're in between. Okay, I don't want to sweat super crazy for ranked. Like, I'm not going for top 250. That's just not my style of play. Standard is there, but you're like, okay, I don't really get much satisfaction out of killing bots or the lower tier players. I still want to play with some competition. I don't want to be, just sitting here shooting computers all day. That's not really what I find fun. Okay, standard Battle Royale is there for you. Then, of course, ranked, you want to go all out, that's there. So you have this 3-tier system of the easiest to the easy, lowest entry barrier casual, the much more normal gameplay where one game could be super sweaty, the next you could dominate. You never really know. Standard, then always sweaty, always competitive ranked. This is something we've never had in Warzone. This is something we've really never had in Call of Duty, to be quite frank, because this casual experience has never existed beyond those sort of protected brackets within skill-based matchmaking that you can only get into by deliberately, tanking your stats. And I think that's against TOS at this point anyway. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. And this could have very drastic impacts on matchmaking in Call of Duty, ideally in a positive way. Of course, we're going to have to see how this plays out once this is all fully available with Season 3 Reloaded, but it's something that I haven't seen much conversation on that I think could be pretty interesting when that time rolls around. So we're going to have to wait and see. But that being said, that's going to wrap things up for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, be sure to drop a like on it. It's always really appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, you want to guarantee that every single day you're in the know for all things going on in COD, feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. I got you covered with the latest info each and every single day. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.